Namaste, ShoreProid family. A very warm welcome to everyone tuning in. We at Shore Productions are back with another energetic and heartfelt episode of our podcast series, Generous Hearts That Built Us. I'm Tanvi Puhankar, a ShoreProid volunteer and today's host, and I'm so glad to have you all with us. Today's episode is very special. It's all about those silent struggles we often carry in our hearts. Things like anxiety, depression, procrastination, insecurities, overthinking, and a constant pressure to keep going in the world that never slows down. These challenges may feel like huge mountains, but maybe, just maybe, they are not as big as they seem if we have the right understanding and the right guidance. And to help us understand these inner storms better, we are blessed to have with us a very special guest, a woman who has been a guiding light for many, a counselor, a life skill trainer, and a therapist who touched lives across the globe. Please welcome Ms. Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, life skill trainer, her counselor, we a therapist currently based in Dubai. A very good evening to you, ma'am. We are truly honored. Good evening. We are truly honored to have you with us today. I hope you are doing well.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, though I have introduced you, I'm genuinely curious to know more about your journey. As we encountered each other twice during our life skill training sessions, and deep down, I felt that you are a truly charismatic personality who connects deeply with young minds. So, ma'am, could you please share your journey from being a teenager like us to becoming a life coach and ABA therapist? How did you land it here?
Yeah, sure. I think it was really a very big life-changing experience that came by when I was a teenager. I was just like anybody else. I was listening to music, and I did all my schooling in Dubai, and definitely I went by the fad and the trend that was in the school. We were listening to all the pop music, and I was not spiritually inclined, and culture wise also we were far from our home country. So I guess that was the trend that caught on, and I just went with the flow. Suddenly when I was like 14 years old, say around like grade 9 or grade 10, somebody told me, okay, there are some satsang going on in Dubai, why don't you join that? We joined and we liked it. It was very sublime. And I wanted to know more about that organization. That led me to, this kind of satsang and bhajans led me to Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. He was the founder of this organization. And he has so many centers worldwide. Around like 1990, 1991, that's when I came to his lotus feet. That's when, I told you when I just joined the satsang when I was 14. Around that time, he was constructing super specialty hospital in Puttaparthi, absolutely free of cost for the poor and the needy. And then he already had these colleges, universities, first he established the girls' college in 1968. And he also, established one campus for boys in Puttaparthi and one in Whitefield, Bangalore. So that, and it became a university in 1981. So I got to learn a lot about this while I was still in Dubai, and I was fascinated. That's such an institution which is, imparting spiritual education alongside the secular education that we have. We have the normal disciplines like BCom, BSc, and all that master's program. And the schedule over there really captivated me. The day starts with Suprabhadam at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was thinking, which college in this world really starts with a prayer that too early in the morning at 5? When the teenagers, and the college going students, they get up anytime they want, they sleep anytime, they go for movies together, they hang out, or picnics, parties, none of this. It was a very disciplined college. And when I read the schedule, I told my parents, you know what, I need to go here. I really need to be here. This is something very new. I've never heard of something like this. And there were many challenges and hurdles. I came to Bangalore. And then finally, I landed myself in Prashanti Nilayam, the Abode of Peace. And then I got into Anandpur campus. And that's where I met Radha Kumari ma'am. She was my teacher there, management accounting and statistics and all of that. And that changed my life. That was a life-changing A girl who was so used to the pop song, listening to Madonna and Michael Jackson and all of that, Brian Adams, and on the one end it was Asha Bhosle, and it was a mixed genre that I was enjoying. But this shift changed my life, and I sort of became more inquisitive. I started thinking in the lines of my master. He kept prodding that why have you taken birth? What's your journey? Don't you people question? So that kind of thing. And I knew I was able to sync with what he was saying, because somewhere inside me, I felt I was an old soul. My journey didn't start this birth. It was somewhere, many, many births maybe. So I was connecting the dots, and I felt whatever he said makes a lot of sense. And I had many, many experiences with him, mystical experiences, spiritual experiences. I still do have. And later on, after I graduated, I got married and I went back to Dubai. And then I started off as an accountant actually in an oil company. And then when I was working, I said, like, what am I doing here? I'm just, processing some invoices, making some cash flows. But what way that's impacting the society? Whatever I've learned at my master's feet, I'm just thinking, like, am I even applying that in my day-to-day life? Somewhere there was not any fulfillment, because my background is BCom, and then I did my MCom and all of that. Then I went into the education field. I did my BA and all of that. I worked in the school temporarily, and that gave me some fulfillment because I was teaching children. And I figured out that more than commerce, I had this inherent ability to connect with the children and teaching, because when you teach, you learn. So this came very naturally to me, this flow. And then later on, and when my daughter came into my life, I said, because my master had already he was very, very keen that we should have educated mothers in society. He told us very clearly that I'm not here to manufacture a set of managers and CEOs out of the girls' college. He was not at all keen. And that really impressed me, because this is a world full of competitions, and all my friends were engineers and doctors. And here is someone who is telling me, I'm not interested in you being a manager. I want you all to become an educated mother, nurturing young minds. So that stayed with me, quite a lot. And then when my daughter came into her life, I quit my job much ahead of that. And I said, the charity begins at home. It's not the question of, teaching the whole world around you and leaving your home, right? It starts right there at home. So and my master also, he instilled in us, the young women, working mothers, not to leave the child in the hands of a maid. How very impactful is that? Who is teaching us these things? Because a child is going to pick up the habits of the maid. Whatever food the cook is making, the vibrations of the maid will get into the child. Who is teaching all these things nowadays? So this stayed with me. I said, no, I will cook for my child. I will teach. If we teachers teach outside, who is going to teach your child? So who is going to feed the child? So everything, just everything, I was there for her, like, picking and dropping and speaking. The entire vibe at the house was just me, my in-laws, my husband around the child. This is very important for family values. It's not about making millions and millions of money and then we just tell, we put the child in a nursery and somebody else is taking care of the child. That's how the child is impacted with the environment. And our family values don't get, they don't find roots. So this was I was very happy that I could stay there. And everybody, like, this is what I want to, this is the message that I want to give all the young girls. I'm not saying everybody should quit the job, but whatever work you take up, make sure that the child is not forsaken. This is a message to the young mothers. And later on, when she was on her own, when she came to the board exam, then I thought, now I will move on. But even then, even when I was a young mother, somewhere that free time I used to spend like in Bal Vikas. This is like, nurturing young minds from age 4 to 14. I was the Bal Vikas guru, again under the guidance of my master, because he launched this program way back in 1969. And he wanted educated young mothers to impart this kind of education to the other children. So I spent my time being a mother and being a guru like this. And it's been, even now I do that. So this is from the year 2000, maybe 2005, 2004. So you can say good 20 years I've spent, around this field. And once my daughter became independent, that's when I felt now I should move on to autism, because those are the children who need our help even more. So the transition and the discipline, the Balvikas disciplined me more than my children, because I learned now, because that's the ground. My master was preparing me for a bigger role. I need to have the patience before I could handle these kind of, autistic children who are struggling with their day-to-day needs. If I don't have the patience, how can I teach them? He was actually preparing me for that kind of a job all these years. And then I said I had this spare time. I spent some time again. I didn't forsake the role, my daughter, even when, because she had the board exams coming up. So half a day school I would take up. So now I'm getting more time. I'm trying to study, I'm trying to qualify myself in this. And slowly, around this time, like say 2020, 2022, 2020, when COVID hit us, that's when I came across my ma'am. She was giving a talk to her students, my peers, what she has, envisioned for the rural youth. That's when she launched, actually July, around that time, during Guri Purnima, that she did that survey. You would have interviewed her, how she went about, building this from the scratch. And when I heard her talk, okay, I got inspired. I said I should support my ma'am. She was my teacher in the college, and that's how my career, the transition as a teenager to a responsible young adult, to a housewife, a daughter-in-law, a mother, a teacher, and therapist, and now a short trust counselor. Everything, fell in place by God's grace, and I'm so very happy that God has given me this opportunity to interact with all of young minds. Right. This has been my
That
journey.
was
So
great, ma'am. I'm glad to hear it from you. And it indeed, the God's direction is the best direction. And we are chosen by God's to help others. And it's really a good thing. So, ma'am, my next question will be, over the years, how has life skill training evolved, especially when it comes to addressing the needs of today's generation?
yeah, actually, when ma'am launched this in July 2020, there was no such thing as life skills or any of that. So October, when I came to know about it, since I already had this background as a Balavika's guru, and in Canada we call it as, in international, the other countries, only in India we say Balvikas. All over the world we say educare, education in human values, or educare, which means it's not that education is something which has to be given from outside. This is something which is already within each child. We are just trying to elicit that. We are trying to tap that and making the child know you already have it in you. Bring it out. Okay, so educare. So that concept, I told ma'am, all right, we have some technical courses, AI and Python, and these are big children, fine. They don't need very small stories. We don't need to impart small bedtime stories kind of a thing to instill moral values. But we need to make sure that it goes hand in hand, because technical knowledge alone is not good enough for the youth. It could be very dangerous. You have a skill, but if the mind is perverted, if the youth are not led through their conscience, it could be very dangerous. It's not just intelligence that matters, intelligence with humanity. The head and the heart and the hand should go together. Head is the intelligence, that's the knowledge that you gain in your sure trust course. The heart is where the sure trust, the life skills, the education. We started off with the course saying education in human values. That's how, there was no such thing as life skills. So the program was education in human values. So the head, the heart, and the hand, how to deploy the skills of the youth for the benefit of the community. That's the hand. So we introduced like the hands that serve are holier than the lips that pray. So these are the quotes of our master. And we didn't want to create some kind of a cult to the trust. We were we could have easily told it is Sai, sure trust. No, we didn't want that. This is a very secular platform. We don't encourage any particular faith or something. We are not here to propagate a particular faith. we are only propagating values, which is universal. And what are the universal values? Love, peace, compassion, friendship, okay, non-violence. So all of these are very common, and anybody will agree with it. So this is how we started off with. We were talking about, and many students were very, very happy to hear about this, because these were taught in the moral science classes. Remember, when we were small kids, there is a subject called moral science, and it remained in books. And when we come to the college, we feel, oh, those things don't work. Those are just meant for small children. But then here we are, we were very serious about launching this. And we said, no employer would like to employ young, like interns, if they don't have the integrity. Just imagine if somebody has got a black mark, and you think the employer would like to have you or me in their organization? No. Integrity is number one. You can always learn your skills, but you cannot learn your character overnight. So character building is very important. It's not that the students who come to us don't have character, but we are here to instill in them that don't take it lightly. This is very important for every organization. If Google or Apple or any of the top-notch companies, they want this. So we really stood by our ground. Then later on, it was tilting towards just values. Then one of our trustees, Ms. Kritika Ram, you would have already interviewed her, you would have spoken to her. She suggested that maybe we can, split this into several modules. Okay, so the name, that's how the transition from education and human values to life skills training program, because some of our students were like, this alone is not going to help us. We want a job-oriented modules. So we bifurcated the same thing into several modules, starting with personality, branding, and networking. Okay, that is that is taken up by Sister Kritika Ram herself, because she's very well. You would have attended some of her sessions. It's amazing, and I personally look forward for those kind of sessions. She addresses like, how do you carry yourself? Each one of us, we are a brand by. I will explain. Can I explain to you every module in detail what we teach, or how is it?
Yes, ma'am. Please,
so this is a transition, and now I would like to tell you like every module what we teach. Okay. So personality, branding, and networking is, she talks about like every person is a brand by themselves, which means you be original and creative. Okay, you don't need to imitate anybody. Be yourself. Okay, and you are known for a certain thing. And how do you sell yourself as a person? Like in the sense that is networking. And how do you project yourself in social media in a very professional way? Like for example, we have LinkedIn. Okay, we cannot just post any message. We cannot just use any language. Okay, everything has got to be, because the employers are watching us right there. It's a very professional platform. And she would often tell the students that regardless of any social media platform, you would always communicate very professionally and very, friendly and in an acceptable way, so that, you are liked by many people, and that you don't cross any boundaries. So these are the things, the etiquette, the social media etiquette is taught here in networking and, in this personality branding. And then she also teaches how to build your CV, how to prepare for the interview, the do's and the don'ts in a very elaborate way. And then she also prepares youth to face any kind of workplace harassment, how to seek protection, and how we ourselves should not be caught up in a web where we could be on the wrong side of the management. Okay, so these are the things that are taught in this particular module. And then we also have another module called communication, general communication. That is taken up by one Mr. Pramod from the Tata's group. And he would also very nicely speak about how the importance of communication in our day-to-day life. Okay, it's not just the verbal, it's the body language and every other thing. Okay, so that's about the communication. And then we have something called mock interview that is taken up by one of the some other senior manager from Bounteous India. So he has been doing it for past 2 years. It's very, very successful. What we do is we collect some sample CVs from our students, and he interviews, and then they get the feedback in the same module. So basically, they get a hang of how it's going to be, right? That's very important. So this is one thing. So much. So 4 5 modules is around this communication itself, and then we have some module on lateral thinking, out of the box thinking. It may not be very relevant to your subjects like Python or whatever it is, but certain questions, like for example, in the workplace, they do ask these kind of lateral thinking questions. What will you do, if you are put in this situation? Okay, that's out of syllabus, but they are trying to test whether you are able to think, outside your textbook knowledge, or how will you apply yourself, your resilience, your smartness, and all of those things are taught in this particular module. Okay, some kind of a puzzle. It's very different. How do you come out of this tricky situation? Everything is not in the textbook, right? It comes with experience. It comes with other people's knowledge who are sharing with you. So that's taught in this module. That's lateral thinking. And then we have a module on entrepreneurship. Okay, young minds. 60%, 65% of our youth, 65% of our population in India are youth. Okay, and the government is supporting startups a big way, right? So entrepreneurship. So we have a successful entrepreneur, Mr. Sai Sudha. She's one of our advisors. She herself takes up these two modules, lateral thinking and entrepreneurship. So she tells them it's all about an idea. Okay, it's not so big. Like Amazon. What is Amazon? Amazon is just an aggregator, right? You have so many companies and then they just deliver. It's as simple as that. There is no brainer in that. But it all starts with that one idea and your confidence in that idea. Okay. Some people will pull you down and say, oh no, it's not going to work. Okay. But how do you believe yourself? Okay. So it starts with that spark, that idea. So that is something she's trying to instill through this module, entrepreneurship. Very important, right? So this is one module. And then we have another module on yoga and well-being. It's the harmony of body, mind, and soul. We have Dr. Rakshita. Okay, she was working for Jindal, and she's a researcher, and she's a professor and she's a doctor. So she's and such eminent people are coming to Sure Trust to share some of their valuable time with our students. So she's taking up yoga and well-being, and there is another doctor, Dr. Vidya, who is teaching preventive medicine, which is, like generally we go to hospital only when we fall sick. So she's like, don't wait until such time, prevention is always better than cure. So take care of your health and what precautions you should take. Okay, lifestyle changes. This is very, very important for our youth. Lifestyle is very important. So that is taught in this module. And there is another module on finance, managing your personal finance. So it's not about just going to work and buying some iPhones and getting carried away by some gadgets, but how do you prudently spend? How do you save? How do you invest? Okay, this kind of tips, some chartered accountants, they come and give a talk on this. So that is one module. And there is another module on emotional and spiritual intelligence, which is taken up by me. That's very close to my heart. Since, I come from, even Radha ma'am comes from that background. But since I've been doing this for quite some time, I scale it up as per the needs of the students. And then we have, one module on community service. That is, we involve our students in our own projects. Like we started off with blood donation. Okay, so we have encouraged some of our youth to go and donate blood once in 3 months. And then we have also inculcated the spirit of planting 2 trees. Each one should plant 2 trees. Okay, and then the third project was supporting senior citizens in their own neighborhood, getting groceries for them or taking them to the hospital. Okay, paying a visit and simply chit-chatting with them. These are all so nice. Actually, the Tatas, one of the Tata arm, if you know, I forgot that person's name. He's a young boy. He has launched that particular arm from the Tata Trust, supporting the senior citizens. I will get back to you on that particular organization. So that's about it. So this is something which we have launched. The 4th project that we have launched this anniversary is supporting the autistic children and the exceptional children in the mainstream school, an inclusive system of education. That's what we have launched. And so this is a module on community service. This is hands-on. So you look at our modules, it is addressing every aspect of a youth, the need, the job, the health and the well-being, the finance, the character, the spiritual, everything is covered in this. So I'm so happy that we could do this once in a fortnight. We invite different mentors from big companies, and initially we had only 1 hour. But looking at the participation of our students, it's touching 400 to 500 students. Like ma'am wanted, let's have a couple of speakers, and we have more student speakers so that everybody is involved, right? So everybody gets a chance to share their thoughts. So here we are with these many modules. It's growing. Yeah.
That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And ma'am, we are running out of time. It's already 27 minutes. So now with your permission, I would love to ask you some questions, not just as a host, but as a student, as a youngster, and someone who is trying to make the sense of life's chaos. So, ma'am, my first question would be, how do you perceive our generation, like Gen Zs? We are often called as sensitive, ambitious, distracted, or emotionally confused. So what's your perspective on this?
Okay, so first the positives, okay? Right from small kids to teenagers to young adults, we have access to the world of information, in their palm. There is no dearth for information. So there's a high level of awareness. Okay, they come up with such innovative ideas. They have an appetite to study more. They stay relevant. They are competitive in the market. They are very ambitious and talented. Okay, these are all the positives that I see. Okay, but coming to the downside of, whatever is happening around us, the media has played a havoc. As much as it has given us information and knowledge, with all this intelligence, what has happened is the kids, they lose their innocence too soon. The problems of the youth are faced by teenagers. The problems of the adults are faced by the youth. So they grow too soon. And I really feel sorry that they are not enjoying their childhood or the teenage as much as we did. We didn't have many things to worry about. But now, off late, I hear that, children are depressed. So which is not a very good sign. And children learn more from the gadgets, not from the nature. Like, for example, when we were teenagers, we were taught, be more selfless like the trees, which give the sun and which gives the shade from the sun, and selflessly it gives its fruits and all of that, and doesn't expect anything. So we were taught to learn from the nature. That is something which is really missing. Children are going away from the nature, and there is so much of competition versus competence or collaboration. There is stress instead of happiness. There is diversity instead of unity. There is violence instead of peaceful coexistence. There is obscenity and vulgarity versus respect for peers. Okay, so the human values are dwindling, okay, with time. And intelligence sadly has, led to overconfidence and, some kind of arrogance. But I think if the energy of the youth, if it is channelized well, like the way we try to do in Short Press, I'm sure, this youth will be able to appreciate the wisdom in the past, the wisdom of the past.
Exactly true, ma'am. But ma'am, even we have that much energy, we still procrastinate. After planning so much, after doing visualizing outcomes, after doing everything, we still procrastinate and we go numb. So how to fight with it?
Yeah, again, because of the social media influence, we just say, okay, fine, we'll just spend this much of time in social media. But the addiction towards gadgets and social media is so much so that we don't try to prioritize. If you prioritize, and if we have the self-discipline, and we get up at the right time and sleep at the right time, everything will fall in place. But we are not doing that, and that's how everything is getting delayed. Every single day, I remember, my grandparents, they will do exactly what needs to be done at that particular time. Nowadays we eat anytime, we eat anything, we eat anywhere, okay, we eat anyhow, okay. those days when we eat food, we pray, okay, and we consume our food, so much of respect, and peacefully we don't talk when we eat. Do we do that nowadays? No. We laugh and we just hang around with our friends, and we don't give respect to what we are eating. It's not about just eating. We watch TV and we eat. We do so many, in the name of multitasking, we think we are very smart, we can do everything at the same time, and there is no quality even in one single thing. And so um there is a tendency to show off, like, okay, let's do this later. So the discipline has taken a back seat. Otherwise we wouldn't procrastinate like this.
That's great, ma'am. Ma'am, I have understood that we all have our flaws and we all carry goodness. And I felt that we all are heard today. And I believe many of our listeners, were thinking like they got their all answers today. And so, dear folks, if this episode helped you even a little, then please share it with someone who needs to hear this. Maybe a friend, a classmate, a sibling, and anyone who is silently going through something. So, your one share could help someone to take care of themselves. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time, for joining us today. And we are truly, truly honored to have you today. So, everyone, this is Tanvi Pohankar signing off from Generous Hearts That Built Us. Take care of your mind, your heart, and each other. Thank you so much.